What is going on, FA Nation? My name is Justin Fensterman. Along with Ryan Hallam, it's your usual Monday crew for another edition of Fantasy Alarm Sports Talk here on fantasyalarm.com. Another crazy week, Ryan. We're going to talk all about it, Monday Night Football as well. But first, most importantly, the world is waiting. How the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm getting ready for Monday Night Football. It's the Bucks. It's the Giants. It's
Yay.
not going to be that exciting at all, unfortunately.
Yes, jeez. Well, I mean, was looking at Vegas before. That's where I normally go first when it's okay. Let's see what the people are thinking about this 12.5 point spread. Rightfully so. This has been one of the toughest defenses in the league, and I guess we should start with the Giants side of things first. I mean, for those that might be playing Showdown and whatnot, it is so hard to trust anyone in that Giants offense. No Devonta Freeman, so it's going to be the Lewis Gallman show, and then pick a receiver that might pop off for 6 receptions. Outside of that, I don't see many good things ahead for Daniel Jones in this matchup.
Yeah, Wayne Gallman looked all right when he came in, last. You're right. It's going to be tough. Daniel Jones is probably not going to have a ton of success. This Tampa Bay defense is not only one of the best against the run, it's really good against the pass, too. They have 2 or 3 dynamite corners. For me, after last week, the only guy that I'd be playing on the Giants side if I was playing a Showdown would be Sterling Shepard. He came back from the injury. I think he had 6 catches and a touchdown in the last game. You might want to look at their kicker. I don't think that they're going to be really finishing off many drives. But Sterling Shepard, to me, Darius Slayton has been very inconsistent, and he's going to have probably Carlton Dean on him, who should shut him down. Golden Tate maybe makes a play. Evan Engram has been a disaster. So Sterling Shepard to me
makes a play. I love that. That's what it's come to with this team, man. Maybe he makes a play.
He had that touchdown last week, but he basically took it out of the other guy's hands and just ran. It wasn't like it was a legit touchdown. He just kind of snatched it and ran. It was a weird play. So yeah, Golden Tate is when all 3 guys are healthy, he's certainly the odd man out as far as targets are concerned.
I'll say this: we saw Evan Engram last week. We saw him have the targets, but he dropped that one pass. It just went off his fingertips. And I was literally texting with our tight end whisperer, our new tight end whisperer, Andrew Cooper. Great tight end analysis that he gives on the site. Very true. I was talking, we were both on Engram. We were like, this is it. This is his final chance. And now I feel like overall, and I'm not talking about this week, but in general, I feel like I couldn't quit him after seeing him get targeted 9 times. And he makes that catch, much better day.
Yeah, and I think I wrote that last week. It was like, this really kind of sucks because now you're like, okay, 6 catches, 50 yards. That's not so bad, especially with the way tight end is. But, I mean, it's one game all season long. It wasn't against a good team. I just feel like all he did was string you along for a little bit longer. It's like the girl trying to break up with you and you just aren't taking it.
And you know the relationship is over, but you're trying to hang on. Maybe it'll get better. I'll never find anyone else again. And then what happens? You cut the cord, and then you find a new opportunity. And, hey, you might become a chalk play out of that, Hallam.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, exactly what it is. He just bought himself another week, maybe even 2 in your good graces. Because there was that game just 2 weeks ago. He was good. And now we're looking at week 11 and you're still sitting with Evan Engram and he just gave you one good game and a lot of heartbreak. And I'm not buying it.
That's pretty much the entire tight end position. We'll go over that a little bit too, but let's talk about the Tampa Bay side of things because, man, Tom Brady, I guess he's not done yet. Hi, Patriots fans. Hi, Pemba. How you feeling about Tom Brady being off your team? Should have paid him that money. I mean, he has a ton of weapons. And my question to you, this is a big show me what you got week for Tampa's offense. Why? No Chris Godwin. Why else? Because Antonio Brown is on the horizon. So for someone like a Scotty Miller, this is a prove yourself week. For Mike Evans, this is a keep me in the offensive plan prove yourself type of week, Hallam. I think this is a very, very important week for the Bucs wide receivers.
Love me Scotty Miller tonight. I'm telling you, he came in last week at 6 catches, 101 yards, and now this week they have, like you said, no Godwin, which means that James Bradbury is going to be on Mike Evans, which if you've been paying attention this year, James Bradbury has been shutting down number 1 receivers left and right. And Mike Evans, He's the big play guy, and how many touchdowns does he have inside the 5? It's been a strange year for him. He's also disappeared some games. Obviously, better without Godwin in there is when he did a lot of his scoring, but he's not had that 4-catch, 110-yard game that we've been accustomed to his whole career. And with Bradbury, I think he's going to struggle to do that as well. As basically, the number one receiver, I think he's going to get plenty of volume. But I think Miller is the one that's going to have the better game. I think we'll see a good amount of Gronk. I think Brady and Gronkowski on Monday Night Football, I think definitely want to give a little to the Patriots tonight, as Cam Newton can't
you
move
really
the ball
think they
5
think
feet.
like that, athletes? We're on national TV. Let's try to do something. Let me try to feature you on national TV. Do you think that's actually how the athletes think going into nationally televised games?
I think some of them definitely, because it's the only game on, so everybody's watching. It's Monday Night Football. It's an American icon. I think a guy like Odell Beckham, I think also put extra effort when he was in a primetime game. And you don't think that, Gronkowski came out of retirement to go play somewhere else with Tom Brady rather than stay with the Patriots.
Whoa.
If you don't think
why
there's a little bit.
He couldn't hack it in the wrestling ring. That's why. He's not tough enough to hang with the WWE guys, so we had to go back to the gridiron, the soft guys. I'm just kidding. I'm not serious. Don't hate on me. But
I definitely think they have some motivation tonight for sure.
Well, Gronkowski, 22 targets in his last 3 games. All of a sudden, he's becoming a factor. And when you're looking at the landscape of the tight end over the so you really have to go week by week when it comes to the position. He's been one of the more trustworthy options, as weird as it is to say. It is 2020, Hallam. Why not have Rob Gronkowski come back and do Gronk things?
Well, let's also think of this. We talked. He wrestled last year and did whatever his Super Bowl party and partied, and God knows what else he did. I'm sure it was a lot of fun, whatever he did. But then there was no preseason, and so he came in not playing a game for a long time. And I think it took some time for him to get back conditioned, to get back into NFL offense. And I think that was why he was so bad for the first 3 or 4 weeks and has now really turned it on. And I think he's going to finish the season pretty strong. Cameron Brate has pretty much turned into an afterthought in the offense with O.J. Howard gone. I think this is we're going to see more Gronk things as the season goes on, and definitely tonight against the Giants. Their defense is not very good.
And don't listen to a word Gronk says. If you remember, Gronk a few weeks ago came out and said, I'm just here to block. Yeah, all right. 22 targets in 3 games. You're doing more than just blocking. You know what I'm saying, Gronk? Seriously. But that's something to think about, because this tight end position is just so tumultuous. And we're going to go over again, because some people may want to try to trade for a tight end. Bad idea. We'll go over that unless you have bonuses. But very quickly, to round things off with the Monday Night Football game, Hallam, was looking at that total. I ask you about that total every week. I'll say this. When you decide to put your hat on the floor and place the bet, you're on target, your money. But then there have been a few matchups where you're like, I'm just going to stay away. Do you have a feeling, a vibe regarding this total for tonight, this total being at 45.5?
I don't really have a strong feeling. If I had to say, I think it's going to be under. I really think the Giants are going to struggle to score at all. So if it's 45.5 and the Giants score 13, that's saving the Bucs to score about 30 points, which they definitely could do. If I'm right now, I'm leaning definitely the under, not by a lot, but I don't think the Giants are going to score too much at all tonight. So that leaves the Bucs to do a lot of heavy lifting.
That seemed like too easy of a question to ask you, Hallam. You didn't even have to blink on that. So now I'm going to make things very hard for you.
Oh.
The one thing we haven't talked about regarding this Bucs offense, how to handle the run game, what to expect. Jones, Fournette. Dude, it is very hard to predict between these two who the bigger producer is going to be, especially if you're setting lineups. And we don't have to talk about moving forward, because with this situation, it's game by game. Who do you see being the higher producer between Jones and Fournette?
Right now, I think the arrow's pointing in the right direction for Fournette. When he's played, he's just been the more I guess, dynamic running back. Jones has had some really good games, and he had one with 2 touchdowns not that long ago. But I feel like when Fournette is in there and he's been given the ball, he's succeeded. I know Bruce Arians seems to favor Ronald Jones. I think Fournette is, 1, a better running back, 2, more versatile because he can catch passes out of the backfield better. He's just a bigger, more durable guy. I think he's going to slowly start taking it over. It's what I expected when he signed there. If you remember, we were doing this back then. I was really excited about Fournette. I thought he was going to have a big year. Injuries have certainly slowed it, but I think now with him healthy, he's shown what he can do. And let's look at both of their careers. Which guy has been, better than the other? It's not even a competition. It's Leonard Fournette. So it might take it might be a 60-40 split. It might be a 55-45. It might be a fairly even split still tonight. But I think the guy with the arrow trending in the right direction is Leonard Fournette.
I had a very similar thought process with this running back group because they're playing the Giants, who are just piss poor, as I did the Chiefs, who are playing the more piss poor Jets, or Plains, as I call them, until they get their first win of the season. And I thought, and in my DFS lineups, I went heavy Bell and Edwards-Helaire, not only because of the whole revenge narrative thing, and I wasn't paying attention, game script. I thought that the Chiefs it was a 19.5-point spread for a reason.
Which they covered.
Easily.
But,
I thought that what was going to happen was that they would get out to their big lead, and then both the running backs would eat for the rest of the game, probably half the game. That didn't really happen too much. Now with this game, I almost feel like I'm having flashbacks to just a day ago because I would like to think that both of these backs can be productive, but even if the game script is there, that's not always a guarantee.
No, not a guarantee. But I think the Chiefs are a little different case, and I'm not quite sure why. But if you look, they have no problem putting a lot of points up. Mahomes very rarely comes out of a game. And yeah, I thought we got a lot of questions this week coming into the game about people not playing Mahomes because I thought he'd play a half and then just coast for the rest of it. But that's just getting too cute, and obviously paid off with the 5 touchdowns.
Well, can I stop you there for a second?
Absolutely.
Can I stop you there? And I don't mean to interrupt because I saw those questions. And I was shocked because here's the deal. If you're thinking from that standpoint, then you're thinking that Mahomes can make his entire weight in the first half, which is possible against the worst team in football. So I don't understand why you're trying to outsmart yourselves like that. And problem, Hallam, we focus so much on matchups. And sometimes we take out some of our top players who we drafted early, expecting to start every week, because we focus too much on the matchups. When it comes to someone like a Mahomes, when it comes to someone like a Lamar Jackson, unfortunately, you paid for them. You're kind of stuck with them no matter what the matchups, especially Jackson, Mahomes, you won't have as many issues. But that's the thing, Hallam, with Mahomes. I don't know how you can bench the guy. He could have made weight against the Jets in the first half, and I would have been fine with it. If I'm looking for 20 points from this guy, easily. Why are you benching him?
And that was the thing. Even if he does play 3 quarters, it's probably going to be really good. Let's look against the Jets. If he can rack up, say, 240 yards and 3 touchdowns in a half or 3 quarters, that's better than most of the guys that you could think about putting him in for. So, yeah, it certainly paid off. But the Chiefs don't seem to let off the gas on offense or defense. If you look at these games that they've blown people out, they don't give up garbage time points on defense. And they keep throwing the ball on offense. So it's like they just don't seem to care. And that's why you see the Jets, Baltimore, that one game, they just beat them into the ground for the entire game. And there's a couple more that are off the top of my head. The Chiefs, I think, are different than most teams that they just are happy to pummel you. I think the Bucs, assuming they get ahead, and I do think they're going to cover this 12.5, I think that we will see more Jones and Fournette in the second half for fourth quarter.
Yeah, Cobra Kai mentality for the Chiefs here. No mercy when it comes to that. Let's talk, as we talked about the Monday Night Football game, now let's talk about what happened with the rest of the week here on Fantasy Alarm Sports Talk, because we had some injuries, Hallam, as we do every week, and it's time. We might as well get this sponsored, Hallam. It's time for the Ryan Hallam San Francisco 49er update. Let's bring in Ryan Hallam in the field. Hallam, every week, another injury. This one times 3. What's going on with your team, bro?
It's your fault. This is every week. I'm not doing this with you next year. I'm already packing it in for this year. We're not going back to the Super Bowl, but it's your fault. I've got to get a new partner next year. This one's going to be – I'm only kidding. I love you. This one's bad because we're playing again on Thursday. So I think that Kittle is almost a foregone conclusion that he will not play this Thursday. I would be very surprised if we saw Tevin Coleman on Thursday. And if they have any hope for a long-term success for Jimmy Garoppolo, he should also sit Thursday. Clearly that high ankle sprain is not 100%. If you watched him, I would say plant and throw, but he didn't really plant and throw. I mean, he was not getting his feet under him when he was throwing, since the more errant passes. Tevin Coleman, I mean, we weren't really counting on him for much anyway, but Kittle's certainly the one that hurts. There's no timetable as of yet that I've seen. I looked right before we came on. I saw that he's almost definitely out for this Thursday, but I haven't seen. I saw x-rays were negative, nothing on an MRI yet, but that one certainly doesn't look good. Could be a week or more miss for Kittle. So 49ers eat the injury bug yet again.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Mullins he was pretty good, though. I'll say that. He came in, he was pretty good, put up 20 points there. No one was starting him, so we all love that. Brandon Ayuk, I like him, though. If he's going to say it, he already passed his injury plague. He's good, at least we think. So for now, I'm fine with Brandon Ayuk. If everybody else is going to keep getting hurt, then that's going to open things up for him a little bit more. But we can't get a handle on this team, because it's every week somebody else is going out, especially with this run game moving forward. And you were asking, by the way, we weren't relying on Tevin Coleman for anything. I was. I had him in a second flex out of desperation. I had to make a decision. Either I start Adrian Peterson, which I didn't do, or I start one of Chris Carson if he played, which he ended up not playing, or Tevin Coleman. I went with Coleman in that one. And I'm almost happy I did, even though it was pathetic performances for both him and AP. So, yes, I was that desperate. And I saw on Twitter there were others that desperate, thought that maybe, just maybe, Tevin Coleman could do something. And then he goes out with the knee injury, man. And it's every weekend. I'll take the blame. I'll be the fall guy while your 49ers aren't going back to the Super Bowl.
Please do. Jimmy Garoppolo expected to be sidelined indefinitely with the high ankle sprain. There you go. Breaking news as we're doing the stream. So look for Nick Mullins on Thursday, which, again, you said he did very well, and he did. And it was garbage time against Seattle. We saw him play very well against the Giants. Newsflash there, and then Philly kind of ate him up. So I wouldn't be going just screaming my head off for Nick Mullins off of that second half performance last week. Deebo Samuel's still not going to be out. If they don't have George Kittle, that leaves Brandon Ayuk is pretty much the only receiver on the team. Packers have a real good corner in Jair Alexander, so let's not go crazy over Nick Mullins over a good quarter of football.
Is it Jordan Reed back?
He's supposed to. He could be. I'd be surprised if he came back on Thursday. I think we're going to see a lot of Ross Dwelly, who I actually really like. Yeah. Not necessarily for fantasy purposes, but as a pretty decent tight end when Kittle misses time. If you're in like a tight end premium league, he might be able to help you out a little bit. But it looks like Ross Dwelly probably on Thursday.
All right, Hallam, I can see you're getting a little sad, so we'll just switch gears here and talk about more injuries here. Yeah, don't cry. It's okay. It's not your fault. It's my fault, not your fault.
It is your
Kenny Golladay, once again sidelined. Now he's going to be missing some time with an injured hip. The last couple of weeks, and I was on a show last night where I called Marvin Jones the Undertaker, coming back from the dead. The last couple of weeks, all of a sudden, putting some production together. And not only him, but with Kenny Golladay also out of the way, what about TJ Hockenson? We were just talking about Gronk being one of the more reliable tight ends. I was actually looking up some numbers, and with TJ Hockenson, he also has been pretty reliable over the last few weeks, and it's only going to get better, or it should get better, with Golladay out of the way.
Yeah, and you've talked a couple times about the tight end position, the landscape of it this year, and how absolutely awful it's been. Hockenson is really having a pretty good season considering where we are with tight ends. And yes, this missing Golladay will certainly help. Marvin Jones, we'll see. He certainly is going to get more targets. When Golladay missed the beginning of the season, he wasn't doing anything. And I don't know if that was because he was then seeing the other team's top corner, or he was just didn't come in shape with no preseason. But he has certainly been better the last couple weeks. If he's on your waiver wire, I think he'd be a pretty decent target. If you're looking, probably everybody has injury and bye week concerns at this point. So Jones is certainly a guy who looks like he should be getting more looks in the coming weeks.
They could use DeAndre Swift in the passing game. They could do that as well.
Could.
They could do that. Do they know they have the option where they could do that? I'm not sure they do.
50-50. If they do or not. I mean, Matt Patricia hasn't exactly proven himself to be a great head coach to this point, so you don't know. Maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't think he knows. Otherwise, we're going to utilize him more. Okay, yeah, right. T.Y. Hilton's still sidelined. You were about to say something, Hallam. One more thing?
Not about that game, but we were just talking a couple weeks ago about how Cam Akers couldn't get on the field. Hey, he finally saw the field because Darrell Henderson got hurt. It's nice to see Cam Akers actually take a snap and then touch the ball for the first time in 3 weeks.
You just hit a nerve of mine. If I have to watch Robert freaking Woods rush in another touchdown, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to freak out. I'm going to flip out. You can't get this guy some carries, so you'll still give Robert Woods carries. Robert Woods, what's it going to take? Is it going to take 5 injuries to give this guy a full workload? Seems that way. I think Sean
McVay has Robert Woods on his fantasy team, so he's trying somehow to get him points. That's got to be the only explanation.
Oh, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. He has Cooper Kupp on his fantasy team. 21 targets.
The only thing I can think of there is Kupp, coming out of the slot usually has a slot corner on him, while Woods is usually dealing with the best guy. I think that's why his Kupp has been getting more volume. But this is the same. Last year, I know they had Brandon Cooks, but he was out most of the year, so it's not like this is new that he's dealing with top corners. But he's not had a good season. It turned out okay by the end of last game, but he was pretty uninvolved until pretty late.
In Cooper Kupp, and we saw that the snap percentage went down big time towards the end of the last season as well. So far, though, with Cam Akers, when we've seen him, when I've seen him, the little I've seen him, I've liked him. He got hurt, though, fell behind the 8 ball, and then they were like, oh, we have Henderson, we got Malcolm Brown as well. So there's just too much going on there, and that's just frustrating because, again, now we have that injury that we needed. We'll have to see whether or not it expands or anything, and that can give Akers an expanded role. But the thigh injury, not the first time he's hurt his thighs this year, Henderson. So we'll have to see with him.
Yeah, this is certainly the only thing holding him back at this point was an injury. So, for those of you with Cam Akers. But you were saying about T.Y. Hilton. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you did interrupt me because this really disappoints me. And a lot of people, I've been taking a lot of heat this year because of T.Y. Hilton. And after this last matchup where he got a touchdown taken off the board, I said, you know what? I'm going to not drop him just yet, and I'm just going to ride him on the bench a little bit. And now he's dealing with a groin injury, and it's so frustrating when Phillip Rivers throws in some of these games for as many yards as he does, and you're thinking, let's just say you're not watching the game. You're thinking, wow, T.Y. Hilton must be having a fantastic game. You check your fantasy team. The app maybe takes about a minute and a half to load. It's lagging. You're sitting there. Boom! 1 point from T.Y. Hilton. It's one of the worst feelings in the world, Hallam.
It's RIP on T.Y. Hilton's fantasy value, pal. It's over. It's done.
Dude, I was worried there was liquid in there. I thought it was
there is.
RIP to yourself. Well, dude, don't pour it out. Water's
gonna take water.
You can't leave me alone like I'm freaking Steven Glansberg. Come on. You gotta post with me here. You can't pour water on your technology.
It's not technology. It's a carpet underneath me. It's
okay,
fine.
good. I thought there were wires. Well, I figured this was your setup and there'd be wires. So again, I'm sometimes I'm your Jewish mother, so I'm just looking out for you, Ryan.
Okay. Yes, I'm not going to pour water on technology. Don't worry.
Good.
But back to the point. T.Y. Hilton is done, pal. It's time to move on. Just let him go.
It is time to move on. It is. And let's talk about some of the other losers from this past week. Some of the performers that didn't really get it done for us. And let's start with some of these members of the Cleveland Browns because there was some waiver capital put in on Higgins and Harrison Bryant as well. My fear with Harrison Bryant, and this goes back to the tight end situation that I said we were going to discuss, that we're about to open up this Pandora's box that we're going to want to close. But when it comes to this tight end position with Harrison Bryant, with someone like a Robert Tonyan, it's not worth, unless there's a big bonus for tight end production, it's not worth spending more than 10%. Even that is a stretch on a tight end on waivers. I mean, if you're starting just one tight end and that's it. And that's something that you're going to have to remember moving forward. Everyone loves to chase the shiny new toy. But what I think some people forgot was there was another tight end in Cleveland as well. And with that, there was no guarantee. And that was the main reason why I said, look, I'm going to put a bid. Adam Ronis always says, put a bid just to put in. You never know. You might get a steal for $2. But I was no way, no chance in hell was I putting over 10 out of $100 of my fab on Harrison Bryant. I needed to see more consistency. I didn't know if you felt the same way about that.
Oh, I completely agree. I think he was a nice fill-in while Hooper is out. That's going to be one more week. Hooper should be ready for week 10. So, unless you were trying to get a get-through for a couple, if you had Hooper and you had the open roster spot, that was a good reason to take Bryant. But other than that, he's not going to be a guy who's going to be successful for the rest of the season. So hopefully you didn't put down too much money on him or kill a number one waiver priority or something like that on the guy. I do think the Browns are going to throw more to the tight end. They didn't barely throw at all yesterday. But I think that you're going to see this offense without Odell Beckham is going to feature the tight end a little more. I like Hooper a lot in the final stretch of the season.
Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, because here's the thing with
Do
Dallas.
We have to?
Yeah, we kind of have to. I know. It's just because I've gotten into arguments with different analysts. People say, oh, Dalton's back. You have to roll out everyone. Let's pump the brakes on that. With Amari Cooper, I know he had a poor performance with Ben DiNucci under center, but that's one thing. However, with Gallup and CeeDee Lamb and even Schultz, I'm not fully in the boat of it's a lock to start them. First of all, we need to see that Andy Dalton's 100% healthy. But again, this is Andy Dalton still. He's better than DiNucci, so it is an upgrade. But is it really that much of an upgrade? I have to ask you, is it a lock for you if Dalton's under center that not even with the blink of an eye, you're starting guys like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb?
I guess not with the blink of an eye, since I'm sitting here thinking about it. I think it's hard not to play Cooper. I really do. Dalton isn't great, but he's good enough to get the ball to a top 10 receiver in football. He's not stupid. He knows, I think, where to I think the bigger problem is the offensive line. If he's going to have time, is more Dalton's problems than actually delivering the football. I'm pretty much done with Michael Gallup. I know he had a pretty good game yesterday, but again, that was DiNucci under center. Dalton Schultz has gone from a guy that I liked to play each and every week to somebody that I'm really, really skeptical to play anymore. With Dalton under center, I think that might have been a Dak Prescott thing. And CeeDee Lamb is the one that I'm on the fence with. I think he'll be okay. I do. I think that he is a guy that you can still continue to trust. But as you can tell, I'm not just beaming with confidence here. I think that one might be one we were talking about using matchups earlier. I think Lamb starting or not starting might be contingent on matchups. I know they played the Falcons already this year, but game against the Falcons or someone like that, I think yes, definitely plays the Bears, the Ravens, the Steelers, those kinds of teams. I could see leaving him on your bench.
Hallam, we got some breaking news. You may want to earmuff it a little bit regarding the 49ers.
Oh my God.
George Kittle now, according to Schefter, going to miss the next 8 weeks. Broken bone in the foot.
I thought they said the x-ray was negative.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I've spoken to a doctor or two that also thought that he'd be all right.
That one's for
there
George
it is
Kittle.
again.
That one's for George Kittle.
Yes, and yes, Howard Bender, I will straighten my hat for you, so thank you very much as well. Hallam, stop pouring some of that water on that. I also thank Howard for giving me that update as well. Ed Bunnell working with us today. Let's talk about the Ravens, because Marquise Brown, he's going to come out and he's going to talk and he's going to say, essentially, use me, I'm here and use me. And I was actually watching some highlights earlier, or some lowlights of essentially Marquise Brown getting missed by Lamar Jackson, him being very open. So it doesn't matter whose fault is this or not, but I know that there were a good amount of analysts who were telling people to bench Marquise Brown. And I benched Marquise Brown in a couple of leagues. And yes, I know he scored, but one reception is not going to do it. That's not going to do it. I don't care if you score on that. I need more than that. I need more volume. And until that comes, and until we figure out, especially with Ronnie Stanley gone, where Lamar's going to be on the run a ton more than he already has been, man, I can't start Marquise Brown with confidence at this time.
You know, I was looking at him actually this morning. I think he's had 50 receiving yards or more in like 5 of the 7 games or something along those lines. He's been okay. But we drafted him probably as your wide receiver too. So 50 yards, you're right, isn't going to cut it. I mean, yeah, we're in bye week season. Yeah, everybody and their mother's hurt, but this is not what you drafted this guy for. The entire offense is just broken, for lack of a better word. You're right. Jackson has been horrifically inaccurate this year. Let's look at Mark Andrews. Can't even get out of his own way. It's 2 games in a row with under 35 yards. He has just been a complete disaster outside of those couple multi-touchdown games. Andrews has been a complete bust. And I think it comes back to Lamar. It just hasn't been the same guy we saw last year. And the offense doesn't throw very much. We got Willie Snead had a huge game yesterday, and Miles Boykin had a touchdown yesterday. He just spreads it around so much to so many inadequate weapons, really. I don't know why he can't seem to hit Brown on a deep pass this year, or really any kind of pass. But, yeah, he wasn't even getting looks yesterday. The one catch, I think it was for 3 yards and a touchdown. Certainly was not making fantasy owners very happy.
No, not at all. And Ryan, we mentioned it a little bit before about Jimmy G being out indefinitely here, and looking a little bit more into this here, because it could be 6 weeks. It could be who knows at this time. But, yeah, that's news flying, and it's all my fault, Ryan Hallam. And I am sorry, dude. It's all my fault. But, hey, we get to be together. That's what family's for. Your team's getting hurt. My team just sucks. So there you go, man. See, it all evens itself out at the end of the day.
I don't know how that evens anything out. I'm not sure how that evens anything out.
Because you know what? Because misery deserves company. Come on. So you get to be miserable with me for probably the rest of your season, Hallam, and it's going to be great to talk about it. So we can almost lock it in that we'll have another piece of 49ers news for you next week.
Here's what I was just going to say. Next Monday, there should be nobody left to get hurt. There's not going to be Tevin Coleman. There's not going to be Mostert. There's not going to be Garoppolo. There's not going to be Kittle. Debo Samuel's hurt.
Wait, I'm getting Brandon Ayuk. He's quitting. No, I'm just kidding.
There's no one left to get hurt. Any major impact to talk about next week. So we should be good going forward there, Fancy.
Keyword, should. Yeah. That's the very big keyword there. He is Ryan Hallam. Give him a follow on Twitter at Fighting Chance. Writes the game previews every single week. They'll be up in the middle of the week. I'm at Fensty Sports on Twitter, and you can catch me and the glorious one, John and Pemba, on Alarm After Hours on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Tonight, midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern. Howard Bender, who's been great as our news update anchor guy, he is going to be on from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern for Fantasy Alarm on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Hallam, I'm sorry about the news. It's a weekly thing. However, Mondays with you, always a good time, my friend.
Absolutely. Can't wait again until next Monday. And everybody soldier through this game tonight. It should be a blowout.
Yes, it should. I thought you were about to say a blast. I was going to let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's pump the brakes.
If you're a Tampa Bay fan, it'll be a blast.
But as always, hey, you guys, fantasyalarm.com right now on our Black Friday deal. You might want to get on it. You definitely do. You see all the winners, Hallam, we've had in DFS.
I know. This week was crazy. I loved it.
We're pretty funny, Hallam. That's what we're doing. Got to get on board.
It's so silly for what we're charging. You're going to make it up in the first week you have it. I mean, how many more times do we have to show you on Twitter or online? Our people just win, right? Fancy, there's no other option. That's what you say every week.
Every week. I don't even need to say it myself, but now through the end of the year, $97 all sports.
No brainer.
Come on.
We'll get you to win on sports you don't even follow. That's how good we are.
Yeah, that's what it is. The Black Friday package on fantasyalarm.com. Get in to win. That's what we do. We win together as one, just like a family should. We always dominate because there isn't any other option. We just win.